And welcome, Internet, to another episode of the Mattriarchy. I am, of course, your dimpled and daughtry old host, Reese, coming at you from Scottsbluff, Nebraska. And to my extreme east is Mr. Matt McJerkface. How you doing today, man?
Hi, everybody. Anything happened today?
I drove several hundred miles, and I'm wearing a Hawaiian shirt. Today, we are joined by Super Sprited, and I know nothing about him. So we're going to go ahead and have him.
That's a good.
I missed something. I was adjusting it and setting up the chat. What happened?
He introduced us.
Oh, okay. That was very nice of him.
Yeah.
Anyway, so today, it comes to my understanding that you're quite big on Nintendo games, or really just games in general. It seems
That's
right?
really funny. That's really funny because I started off as a complete Sony dude, and then when I was about 10, I got really obsessed with Nintendo, and I didn't really stop.
That's kind of how I'm gonna assume you're around my age. I'm about 20 years old.
Very close. I'm 19.
Oh, okay. It's always weird when I find people that are just even slightly younger than me, and I don't know why.
How old are you, if you don't mind me asking? How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 20.
Huh.
So yeah, right around. But yeah, when we were little, we probably everybody had a PS2. So, you didn't really have much of a choice when it came to. Although I remember I got a GameCube right before the Wii launched, and then immediately the next year I wanted a Wii. I remember that. I remember being a pest of a little child.
My whole thing was my father, he got a PS2 the day it came out in 2000, 2001. I'm really good with years, but for some reason I get the PS2 release date mixed up.
That's the same thing, because normally I'd be oh yeah, N64, it's 1996, or Super Nintendo 1991, PlayStation 4.
That's a talent of mine. I'm really good with years, but for some reason the PlayStation's kind of nifty for me.
So here's the thing with the PS2 that I remember. It came out just after I got married in 2000, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the first edition was super buggy. It didn't last very long. So it was re-released the next year with way simpled down. And so most people have the simpler version.
Is it the same model, or are you talking about the Slim?
I think it's the Slim one, because I remember that being the only. I remember seeing that there was a fat PS2 that existed, but everyone we knew had the Slim one.
That's funny because my dad got it on release. I still have my launch PS2, the fatty, and all my friends had the Slim ones.
Little baby one.
Yeah. That thing was crazy and compact. I really like the Slim one, but I don't have it.
Yeah, that's something that amazes me about it, is especially with how bulky the GameCube was the GameCube. The Xbox was pretty is famously bulky, especially in the controller.
Yeah, the Duke.
Yeah, the good old Duke. Let's see. Other than that, how have you been doing? I guess we're doing this a little out of order, but how have you been? I think you said you saw Spider-Man.
Oh yeah. I saw Spider-Man Far From Home today.
How was
it? It was okay. It wasn't anything special. I think I like Homecoming more, but it was a good movie.
You've seen Spider-Verse?
Yes, it's my favorite animated movie, actually. I love Spider-Verse.
Yeah, Spider-Verse was a great movie. Let's see right over here. Something around. I've got to retweet the link. We also have to get that in the Discord server.
But back on the PS2, I actually still have that exact same PS2, and it still works. And I hear that those break very easily. So
it's kind of I have an original Xbox 360 that I got for really cheap, and I'm amazed that it because it supposedly has some wear and tear on it, but it still works fine.
Don't those ones use memory cards, or?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember because I remember hearing something about that, but I know for a fact that it's not. Reese just vanished and reappeared. He's back. Oh, it's
I wasn't honestly sure if that was going to work or not.
Unjoining, yeah, it was the master plan to unjoin and rejoin your own stream.
Oh, it wasn't that. It was that my computer went to sleep on me. It wasn't plugged in to the and so the battery was put the whole thing to sleep, and I didn't know it would be able to come back again from that. So hooray! That was sort of magical. But anyway, what I was saying before everything in the world just closed on me was that the PS2 original version of it came out just before, almost in conjunction with my wedding back in 2000.
So it'd be easy to remember.
Yeah, it was easy to remember because we actually considered buying one on our honeymoon because we got all this wedding money. You know, people gave us gifts and everything, and we were like, maybe we should buy a PS2. But we decided to wait to see what they were like, and there were tons of problems with the systems. The first release, and then they did a redesign and relaunch in 2000, and that was the one we ended up buying after it went down in price. And it was
talking about speaking of what's it called issues, console issues, and really just older versions of consoles that you don't see as often. Any of you guys remember the original DS was so much uglier looking than the DS Lite that everyone I knew had?
I fucking had one, dude. I broke it in half. I used to have one.
Oh man!
But before we get into this conversation, is there like a link I could share, like a public link, so I could spread this to my Discord and all that?
In fact, it's on my Twitter already, but I will share it again.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Oh, hey,
that's right.
and there's
I got
the
it.
group chat. He put one there too.
But the link, in case you wanted a fresh link to the YouTube stream. Right here we have Evie or Milkshake Dove. She changes her name. She changes her name a lot, but that's she's joined in. She's watching. Hi, Evie.
Is that a Dove emoticon?
Oh, there's Danielle. Hey, Danielle, how's it going?
I haven't seen Danielle in a while. It's good to see her.
I think she was here for the last 2 weeks ago when we did the Oddity guys.
But I wasn't.
She was here for that. And that was a lot of fun. That was a great stream. Yeah, you know what also bothers me is the fact that Nintendo willingly released the the original Game Boy Advance the way it was. No backlight or anything.
I think it's because they really, really wanted it to launch the exact same time as the GameCube. It was like a couple. It was either the same day or a couple months away, but it was both in 2001.
Yeah, that's what because like this one, you know what Brawl in the Family is?
Yes, I used to love Brawl in the Family.
Yeah, but I always remember one of the things that always helped me remember the years is just because he made that Schoolhouse Rock style History of Nintendo song.
Yeah, you're more into my Twitter, but I have a YouTube channel where I barely upload, and I did a video on Donkey Kong, and I used a little snippet of that. Where it's like, in order to discuss Mario, I have to discuss, and it cuts to the history of Nintendo.
Oh, actually, I didn't know you did YouTube. I knew that you did.
They're bad. They're very bad.
We all got to start from somewhere.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I haven't seen your videos myself, but I'll give them a check.
Okay. It's linked on my Twitter bio, I believe.
Oh, in the middle of something, Scott says. Scott joins in. Hey, Scott, how are you?
In the middle of something. I thought he said, I was confused because it says in the missile of something.
In the missile of something.
Is that a threat?
Whatever.
I'm scared.
In the middle of Aeon. And so I was like, is he playing D&D? I don't understand what's happening.
No, he's playing some kind of so you have Modern Warfare, the Call of Duty game. But realistically, it would just be you pilot drones around and fire missiles at people.
I mean, isn't that a thing that you can do in like Modern Warfare 2?
I think so, but like I'm not really big into Call of Duty, but
neither am I, so I don't know.
Like if it's truly Modern Warfare, then it would just be a lot of people sitting at desks firing missiles.
Right.
And drones and stuff like that.
Well, modern for when did that first one come out? Like 2008.
Jeez, the fact
That's scary to think about, isn't it?
Like, see, the thing is, I never feel like I have any ground to stand on criticizing a company for releasing a game every year since I played Pokemon.
Right.
You know, um,
What's your stance on the Sword and Shield thing?
I was gonna ask you about that. See, I'm kind of in the middle. I
Yeah.
think the whole thing of calling people bootlickers is overreacting and kind of gross.
Everyone wants to take sides and shit.
But like taking sides is one thing, but I also like I do have issues with it because I've seen things where I'm like, oh, I see this, and I do see that they're reusing the 3DS models, but going like, oh no, these are the higher quality. We need to do this. It's higher quality, higher this and that, and it looks the same. So you're like, okay, well, why can't I have my Infernape? But at the same time, you can kind of understand, there are there actually are going to be 1,000 Pokemon, I guarantee it, in this latest.
Yeah.
Um,
Because
and
of all the
that's why I
backlash, I
really
think they'll
feel
just
like-
patch them.
Yeah, I think that'd be like I've heard that they don't want to, but I feel like that's the best way to go about it. You remember in X and Y, that's what they did.
Yeah.
Yeah, like oh geez. So that's why I'm kind of mixed on the whole thing. I'm still looking forward to it. I like the character designs and I think the new Pokemon look great. I love the Raven Pokemon that was shown off in one of the trailers. That might be one of my favorites so far.
I like
Alongside
Bullet
the Fire Starter, since it looks like Max from Sam and Max. I'm definitely picking him.
Oh my god, why are you right?
He does. I think I've said before. Sam and Max is one of my favorite cartoons / comics ever / video games ever made.
They made a Sam and Max. They made a. Wait. Oh, I'm sorry. I mixed up. Sam and Max is the comic with the Telltale, right? For some reason, my stupid ass was thinking of Max and Ruby.
I kind of get that. It's kind of funny. They're both white rabbits named Max.
That's why it threw me off.
Yeah, I'm really big into children, into like preschool programming.
Hell yeah, dude. No, one of my other very active followers on Twitter is a part of the Thomas the Tank Engine fandom.
I feel like
I can't really judge.
Is it like entirely out of irony? Because like I do like Thomas the Tank Engine. I was like, okay, I like that. That's cute. You know?
This is very unrelated to like the whole discussion, but like with that, one day it was like really late at night. It was like 5 a.m. I was just up in my bed, and I'm like, I'm curious, what is the appeal of this whole thing? So I look up, and there's like this whole world that on YouTube that in DeviantArt, of course, that's just I've never discovered. It's like there's this YouTuber who did a video on like a 40-minute long video. He's like the problems with the new Bob the Builder reboot. It's like any other fandom, but it's just so weird.
Well, I mean, the thing is, at first, I feel like I have no grounds to speak because I like Pokemon. But like, you say things like, "Oh, well, isn't that kind of childish?" But at some point, I do think there's a limit for me personally. Is just that,
yeah,
like pretty much Nick Jr. is not something I'm really interested in, but Nickelodeon, I'm fine with. That's
right. Like I feel that whole thing because. Like when I was a kid, I used to get made fun of by like the Call of Duty fans being like, "You still play Mario?" And
I hate it.
Even today,
I wanted to just snap at them.
Right. Even today, I get shit for watching cartoons, and it's like, I don't care, but like, there's a certain line. Like, I feel like that stuff's made for everybody. It's colorful, so the children can like it, and there's depth to it. Like Mario takes a lot of skill, for example.
Oh, go ahead.
Down to it, even though it doesn't fit into what a lot of people in your age like to think of as mature, that grim and gritty, hyper serious kind of thing. The fact
that whole thing was going on when I was growing up with that Halo.
But the fact that it has staying power means that there is a level of maturity to it that isn't in place in a lot of other franchises.
Right.
People like my kids are not much younger than you guys, right? My oldest and my youngest is about to be 16, right? And because I'm old. But anyway, my youngest is a huge fan of retro games. He loves old Mario games. He loves the old Sonic stuff. He loves that sprite animated video game stuff. He eats it up like it's Anteaters. And I think there's a value in it because of its classicness that I think a lot of people are going to be. I think Call of Duty is going to be around for a while, but there's not a lot of people that go back and play Call of Duty games from before they were around. There are a lot of people that are into retro gaming.
It's weird to me to think that like Gears of War is now a semi-retro game because it's like almost two
Oh
generations.
yeah.
Yep. We were actually just talking about that, Barry and I, because we're going to be pastiching Gears of War in a story here coming up.
Beautiful. Always give what's it called? Oh wait, okay, hang on. There's some disrespect going to Max and Ruby in the chat that I can't let go. Listen, I may not watch the show,
I don't see.
but I may not watch the show, but you gotta respect Max and Ruby, girlfriend.
Girlfriend.
So, Nacho, thanks for showing up, or Pickles, as the case may be.
And then NAP Misfit, thank you for showing up. Yeah, there are some things you just don't grow out of, though. Like in Pokemon, I think is one of those things. It's more true the more I get out and meet people. It's like there's so many people I know. It's like, yeah, I don't really play video games anymore, and it's just and I'll be talking about something, and Pokemon comes up. It's like, okay, I did say that. There was one game I still play.
It's just so weird. I feel like this generation is less open to the whole thing. I mean, I can't really speak for myself because my generation isn't either. But me and my younger brother, we're 10 years apart. So like when I was his age, like he's 10. I was so open to like old cartoons I used to watch, like Rocko's Modern Life and Ren and Stimpy. That's well before my time. And like I bought an N64 when I was 9. Okay, like.
I remember my brother did that, and I'm mad at him because eventually he sold it, and I was like, no, that was cool.
But like now, my brother and my cousin, who's around the same age, like, like there's some stuff they like they like Dragon Ball Z, but like I don't know, they're less patient. I don't know. I feel it's like I'm gonna sound like a boomer, but like I feel like it's like the whole phone thing.
Where it's like, okay, I don't know if I showed you this. I found this image the other day. You remember That's So Raven?
Yes. I wasn't a Disney Channel kid. I was a Nickelodeon kid, but I remember its existence.
Yeah, the thing I remember somebody, that We Live in a Society thing with the Joker. Yeah, somebody made That So Society, and it's That's So Raven, and they made her look like
Joker.
Joker.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna send you a picture of that to your Twitter. I'm making a post on my Twitter.com.
Twitter.com.
Who posted my nudes on Twitter.com?
Now you sound like an old man.
Oh man, I really don't hope that somebody.
Oh my god, that's so Sieti.
Some guy's wrinkly old dong. Got a real.
That's society.
That's society. Yeah, now that she's got like a sequel series now, and she's like a mom or something.
God, I remember she was fighting about something like really dumb, like I don't know if it was like some political thing or something religious or whatever, but like she was in the news for just whining about something. I don't know.
I'm kind of tired of it, like I miss when I was 10 years old and none of that stuff really mattered. And even throughout high school, certain things where I was like, okay, I believe this about that about this, and I'm
right. I feel it.
But I don't like that it's become like so front and center to everything. Like there's so much more to people than politics.
Right, like some people will literally just block you just because you have one opinion on one issue.
It could be like I've seen people do that where it's like they're liberal on everything except for like abortion or something. And then
right. It can be something even little smaller than that. It can be like, I don't like the color pink on people's hair. You should stop dyeing your hair weird colors. And then that's it. I don't respect you as a human being anymore.
Yeah, you've lost all. You can't talk to me anymore if you don't respect my life. Sometimes they do things like you can't respect my life decisions. And you're just like, dude, come on. It's something I don't like. It's like I'm not a big fan of the buzz sides. Like my friend calls it the neo-Nazi haircut, but that buzz sides of the head, hair only on the top look.
Oh, like Captain Marvel? Or...
Yeah, basically. But you know that's a big thing with guys, or at least it has been, is like that haircut. And I don't think
Maybe the European neo-Nazis, but I'd say those people are more skinheads.
Yeah. You figure something is cool.
Not
Like,
every
if you have
skin
the word neo to your name, you figure it would make you way cooler, but it doesn't.
It sounds like something super futuristic.
Yeah, it's just like there's cyber Nazis or something, and you're like, oh, that actually sounds terrifying. And you find out they're like these fat, like there's like 4 fat guys in like collectively like 3 different rooms. And
Neo-Nazi sounds like something from Wolfenstein.
yeah,
Doesn't sound real.
That's hilarious.
Wolfenstein games. My brother is really into the new ones. He just recently got Doom 2016. He's very happy about that. He's a big lover of first-person shooters, especially the classic games.
I've been playing Doom 2 lately. A lot of Doom 1 and 2.
I think he's beaten Doom 2 because he's played all the games from around that era, you know, except for Shadow Warrior, and he won't play the reboot, even though I love it. I don't think it's because he doesn't want to; he just hasn't got around to it. Like, he's the same way about StarCraft. Like, he won't let me talk about spoilers for StarCraft, but he hasn't been playing it, you know.
I can relate because my backlog is massive.
I started numbing it, like, because this year's been kind of dead for video games for me. Like, a lot of the Nintendo stuff got pushed back tremendously.
Right.
And outside of that, I had like Devil May Cry 5, and that was really it for new releases this year. And eventually, I just went to my backlog.
Mario Maker.
Final Fantasy 7, ding. Final Fantasy 9, ding. Napsa
It feels good to go through it.
Says Doom 2016 is great. Platinum did on PS4, and the online play is back to basics gold. That's what I heard. My friend, I heard some people when the game came out complained about the online play for that, and pretty soon after it was people going like, "Oh wait, no, this is actually awesome." Sometimes it just takes
Doom 2016. You're talking for Doom 2016.
Yeah, Doom 2016. I'm reading a thing off from the chat. For
some reason, I didn't know that had a multiplayer.
It does. It is kind of back to basics, like retro, like old Unreal Tournament and original Doom multiplayer, basically. But yeah, my brother's into all that stuff, especially Unreal. I think he said he really enjoyed the reboot for Unreal Tournament. Or was it Unreal Tournament Quake? I'm thinking of Quake.
Oh, I forgot that existed. Yeah, it's bringing back all their franchises, aren't they?
Yeah, and then what I kind of like is that they basically turned. They've kind of made it so that's their Smash Brothers of sorts, right? They've got because it's got Blazkowicz and Doom Guy as characters.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and like they have their own specialties. Like Doom Guys is going just completely nuts on people, if I remember correctly, and then Blazkowicz gets dual wielding.
Commander Keen one.
Commander Keen, yeah, we got Commander Keen in there. He's got a mobile game coming out. Come on, it's perfect cross promotion. That was
the
bad.
mobile game looks so. The artwork for the mobile game looks so good, but it's a mobile game.
Yeah, it's a shame that it's like that. That's the standard for mobile games. It shouldn't be like that. It should be like a natural progression of things, but here we are.
Yeah. When were the days of Sonic on N-Gage?
Oh man, I'm a more hardcore gamer. I had Sonic on my Leapster LMAX to get on my level.
Oh Lord, I had a SpongeBob game on my Leapster.
I remember Leapster being a thing. Like, geez.
Yeah.
Carl coming in to say, hey, probably talk about his Leapster memories, playing Zero to Hero and SpongeBob. Maybe some.
That right there, that is a mark of people your age, because my kids were in the Leapster generation too.
The Leapster
technology was good enough to allow.
Well, nowadays kids have knobbies.
Yeah, they're all. I mean, basically just a tablet PC, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of a common thing now. It's just like toss your kid an iPad; he'll be good to go. I gotta have fun. You guys, about you guys live streaming. I'll be back. Okay.
Now, it's not much more expensive than a Leapster was.
Let me think. what else we got going on? So yeah, I did want to ask you a bit about your cartooning stuff.
Oh yeah.
Sprite it away.
Sprite it away.
Sprite
No, that's the sequel.
Change your name to Sprite Cranberry when the season rolls around.
When that commercial meme was going on, everyone was calling me Sprite Cranberry. Everyone, man.
Well, I remember.
Why did you go Sprite? That's the question I want to know. Is why inspired that name?
Oh, when I was my early days on the internet, I've been on the internet since I was maybe 7 or so like 2006. I liked Legos a lot, and I still do, to be honest. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
So I went by, I was Lego 16, 15, 14 on Roblox, and like Z Lego 99 on my first YouTube account, like all these Lego related names. And then I was Lego Gamer for a while. And then I was like, I'm 12 years old. I'm 13 or something, right? I need a better name. So at that time, I was an active member of the Spriters Resource. I used to make custom sprites. They were awful. I don't know if you guys know what the Spriters Resource is, but it's a place where you can get sprite sheets for all kinds of games and even find custom sheets.
I wish I would have known about that when I tried it, because when I tried doing edited, because people were like, "Oh yeah, check out my edited Pokemon. This looks so cool." I remember doing that with like GIMP or MS Paint and trying to adjust them.
I used to use MS Paint. I mean, I still use MS Paint for my thumbnails and stuff because I don't have Photoshop.
Actually, like I was thinking, those look a little above MS Paint's pixely quality.
Well, you really work with what you had. In my early YouTube videos, I used to teach myself like little exploits for Windows Movie Maker, like how to layer audio, because in Windows Movie Maker you can only use one audio track. So I would render the whole thing and then add music onto that render. And like little stuff like that. You become crafty when you use one thing for like 10 years,
Yeah, it's kind of like my friend was amazed. It's like, why are you drawing these in? It was actually Carl, because like one day I just was messing around in PowerPoint and I made artwork in PowerPoint and I showed it to him. He's like, why did you do this in PowerPoint? I mean, it's good enough for being in PowerPoint, but like, why? It's like, oh, because I grew up on PowerPoint. I used to actually sit there and try it. Like when I first thought about I want to be a cartoonist, my go-to program for some reason was PowerPoint.
Well, because of the Windows programs, PowerPoint has the most versatile drawing tool.
It's still so. Yeah.
It's easier to draw in PowerPoint than it is in Word, and you can use the cell setup to do setup animations. You can extract those into other stuff. I understand it. It's still not smart, but it can be done.
As a kid, it was like that's what I was gonna do. But then as I got older, like, okay, animation programs, drawing programs.
The crazy thing to me is like how many much better free programs are out there. If you are looking for free graphics programs.
I remember when I was younger. I mean, I did find GIMP because of that. When I was like after the PowerPoint thing, I was like, okay, well, this clearly isn't gonna work. I started looking around, and that's how I found GIMP. And oh, Danielle brings up something in the chat. It says Matthew was obsessed with Sprite Cranberry for about a year before it became a meme. And I remember that's when I had my hipster moment. And the Christmas 2017, I was laughing and making all the jokes. It's like, this commercial is creepy and funny and everything. It's like, how come the internet's not eating this up? And of course, the next year when I couldn't find Sprite Cranberry for the life of me, like I went around. I live in a pretty densely populated area of Maryland, and I went around to so many different stores looking for Sprite Cranberry, and I think I found 1 2-liter at the beginning of the holiday season, and it was nowhere else. It wasn't even stocked on shelves most of the time. Like the shelves would be full of Sprite. They wouldn't have Sprite Cranberry, and I actually liked the drink.
Right.
Yeah, and then it became a meme the following year, and I was still laughing about it, and I was glad that everyone else was getting around to it.
Yeah, I would qualify as a hipster moment, I suppose.
I did it before it was cool. Yeah, that joke, how did the hipster burn his tongue? He drank his coffee before it was cool.
I like that.
Yeah, I remember finding that one somewhere, and it was
I like that.
Cool.
So the other day, somebody on the internet was trying to make fun of me, and they called me a hipster Popeye. And I was like, Okay.
Well, sometimes you get insults like that, and you're like, hold on, that's pretty good.
That's fair. That's
You can't even be mad at that point.
Yeah, it's like it's the thing from Anchorman. Actually, I'm not even mad. I'm impressed.
pretty much. So yeah, but one of the free programs I'm using a lot these days is I especially use it for coloring. It's called Krita, Krita, and it's a pretty handy little tool. I like it quite a lot. I'm getting ready to. I'm actually going to lay down some Scratch and pick up a copy of Clip Studio, so I can do some.
The funny thing about Clip Studio Paint is I just found out that Manga Studio is just an older version of Clip Studio Paint.
Yep.
And
the things it can do that I'm specifically looking for is it can lay comic pages out, because we've done it with just other programs kind of limping along for years, but with the Expositioner, the Vox Populi story, we've got several 2-page spreads. And so I want something I can lay them out with when it goes to the printer, so it's going to look right when it's on the page. And nothing we have had that kind of power before. So
yeah, the biggest at first I think Carl does all his, like, he draws everything out, and then he does like all the borders and stuff and the ink and everything digitally. What I do is I sit there and I kind of draw, because I like to do some really kind of weird borders and shapes and stuff like that for some of my panels that I've been working on. And it's so, like, I guess I get a little more out there when I'm doing it. Can't really go with the program for it, but also I'm frustrated because I had to go find. It turns out we lost our old, like, plug-in disk drive. Like, my computer does not have a disk drive on it, so I had to go get a plug-in disk drive. And now I'm hoping that this one works and that I'm going to be able to reinstall Manga Studio, because for some reason it's basically acting as if I'm using it at this time.
Yeah, that's always frustrating.
It's asking for like a serial number and everything. And the other things I'm thinking about, let's see, yeah, I think there's a couple of games coming out towards the end of the year. Like, there's Pokemon that's coming out. There's Animal Crossing is out early next year, if I'm not mistaken. Luigi's Mansion supposedly comes out sometime this year.
Really? I don't think that's going to happen.
It did say 2019 on it, if I'm not mistaken. All
the games I care about came out like in a very short amount of time from each other. Like I'm interested in Team Sonic Racing. I haven't got it yet. There's Mario Maker. There's Crash Team Racing. That's really it. Like, I like Luigi's Mansion though.
Yeah, Crash Team Racing. I had a little bit of, like, I had some extra money from working extra shifts.
Yeah.
I'm very recent getting around to you, but I bought Crash Team Racing and I used my Nintendo points to get it, like, severely discounted.
And
I've been blessed with that. I actually just beat Nitrous Oxide the other day by accident. Like, I hit him. He fell onto a lower part of the track that was from before in the race. And I had this massive lead over him that he just never got back.
I've 100%ed all the original PS1 Naughty Dog Crash games, but
oh my gosh!
Yeah,
I'm struggling with that on the Insane versions because
I think I did the first one in Insane, but haven't gotten back to it yet.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to do the original versions for Crash 1 because of the save.
That was not easy.
Yeah, it's like the save system's bonkers. There's physics issues. There's all the stuff where, like, you pretty much, like, isn't it like you have to watch crates explode if you want to get them on the counter? Because if you walk off screen.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. Do you
Like,
have to let what explode?
You have to watch TNT crates explode, otherwise it doesn't count on the counter.
Oh yeah, because the way that the game loads is it's very tricky in that, like, it looks like it loads the entire level, but it only it does culling, but like in a very particular way. Yeah. And I'm not gonna get into the text of it, but like because of that, it totally like deprocesses the TNT like the second you walk away, but the sound effect still plays.
I can't believe you did, because then there's also the things of, there's the save system, there's if you want to, like, if you hit a checkpoint and you wanted more, like, you know, there's no box tally like there is in Insane. Like Insane fixed a lot of issues with the first game. And
They
the other
just took the elements from Crash 2 and put it in the Crash 1, except for the slide and the high jump and all that stuff.
I miss the slide and the ability to duck when I'm playing the first game, but it's
Yeah.
still really good, even for, like, you know, warts and all. It's still a very fun game.
Crash 1 is probably objectively awful, but, like, you know, I didn't grow up with Crash 2 or 3 like most people. Like I said, my dad got the PS2, but most of my games were actually PS1 games that his boss.
Everyone will hate me for saying this. Oh, your Star Storyteller comes in. Hey, Star, how are you?
Hello.
So then I grew up with Wrath of Cortex.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I actually loved that game as a kid.
I own it. I've never actually touched it.
Well, the thing is, it gets a lot of flack, and like, some of it's deservedly so. Some of it's just because, like, I feel like is a little people are being a little hard on it. I am a little biased, but other things, it's like it's got a lot of decent Crash stuff in it from what I've seen people talk about. Like, because there's people like Catacris who are saying, like, you know, it's parts of it are really great, parts of it are really blah, and then like, so you kind of salvaged it, and so that it was like half good, half bad.
Yeah.
And, like, I love that. You know, the irony of it is I also love Spyro Enter the Dragonfly, which objectively is a terrible game.
I think it was that one that was Spyro.
It cut out. It cut out. Could you repeat yourself?
I think it was that Spyro game that was like one of the first games I ever played in my life. I remember when I was like 2 or 3, I played a little bit of GameCube, PS1, and PS2 games. Remember, it was a PS2 Spyro game I played. And I think that one was it.
I think there were two of them, because there was like Spyro. Enter the Dragonfly was one of them, and it was infamous for all these glitches and stuff like that, which I think I kind of remember as a kid, but I also remember thinking that every game had glitches, so I'd just be like, oh yeah, it's just a glitch. You just have to ignore that.
Hold on, give me 1 second.
All right, go right ahead. Our storyteller in the chat says, feeling a lot better now that I think my baby is getting close to growing its own placenta, so it's not taxing my body. Oh, that's really nice.
Getting close to its own placenta, so it's not so taxing on my body.
Yeah, I found out really late into knowing Star was that she was pregnant.
Yeah, I didn't realize she was either. She mentioned it to me a while back ago, but.
Hey, could you guys give me 1 second? My phone's bugging out. I gotta leave real quick, and then I'll come back.
All right, go right ahead.
No, it's perfectly fine, Star. As a dad of 2 nearly grown boys, I appreciate that a lot. I'm at the other end of that journey, but I really it's adorable to hear about.
Well, I mean, you're at the receiving end of the baby, of like the rage.
Yeah, well, actually, my kids are pretty mellowed out about stuff like that. I don't really worry about them a whole lot with that. My oldest boy just took on a job. He's doing some day labor for a furniture company here in town, and he's got himself a car, and he's volunteering at church, and he's getting ready to. He's doing this week through the VBS, and he's getting ready to start classes here in a little while. So.
Wait, this is weird. I can hear and talk to you guys, but like my phone's not dead. It says the internet's gone, which is not, and it's not responding to anything I'm doing. So give me 1 second. I can't even mute myself while I'm fixing this. I'm sorry.
It's fine.
This stuff.
I was just mooning on about my kids, so it's real good radio. I'll tell you that.
Okay, cool.
But yeah,
I'm gonna try to take out the battery.
So Star, don't feel bad about talking about the little one at all. That's the future you're carrying right there. So
the future is now.
Well, it really is. You know, that's the thing. People forget that. That's what you do when you're.
You said it's like he's got the lip ring. He's already the cool dad.
So, story about that. Since we're waiting, I have another couple of questions I wanted to ask Sprite here. But before we do that, I'll tell a story about lip ring. So, my wife asked me to get my lip pierced years ago. Thought it would look cool. and we were young and everything, and 'cause that happens once. And but Tolly had just been born, my youngest boy, who is now almost 16. But when he was little, when he wasn't fussing, he was very grabby, a very grabby child. And so we made sure that I didn't get my lip pierced until after he grew past that a little bit, so he wouldn't try to reach up and grab it when it was healing, because I was really nervous about that. So.
Yeah, I mean that would have been painful.
Yeah, and it was. I mean, I got a little bit about body piercing, right? There's lots of different ways of getting your lip pierced because there's lots of real estate people have here. But if you have a one that's straight through the back, like a lot of people have the regular labret piercing, it can chew up your gums, right? Especially if you have a ring through it. So my piercer, who does excellent work, she went ahead and pierced it through the top of my lip here, so that it doesn't actually touch my teeth at all. So the ring is just through my lip and out, so it's a lot better for my oral hygiene. But it also hurt a lot more because it was a lot more tissue that it had to go through. So it was very, very painful, but it was the right decision as far as that goes. But so there you go. If you ever think about getting piercing done, make sure that your piercer knows about anatomy and is totally open to walk you through the options. So, because it's a big decision, have serious health problems if you do it wrong.
Yep, don't chew up the gums. Well, I mean, definitely chew gum, but not that kind.
Yeah, that kind.
And
Hi, are you back with us?
is it? He says he's left the chat, so he said he's going to be back in like a little bit.
Must have had to recycle his thing there.
Yeah, he said he's gonna try to leave the call. Oh, there he is.
I'm back.
I'll be back. That's it. Good. I want to have a stream setup so it does that when I have to mute myself. It goes like, "I'll be back," like the.
So Sprited, ask a couple questions here because we are expecting Matt C of Kyrie, I think is how you say it, well, in any minute. But let me ask you some creative questions here. You've been doing a little bit of animation, is what I'm understanding?
Oh no, not really. I've always just kind of drawn. I do comics.
Okay. What kind of comics?
Well, I don't like make comics, but per se, but I used to, and I'm working on this thing called Alfie, which is going to be like a webcomic based on Arthurian legend.
Cool.
I guess I've technically got something based on Arthurian legend, but it's more of, it's weird. I don't even know how to, like, I've described it before, but I'm not exactly sure how.
I think Matt, yours is more of a pastiche of the entire romance literature genre than it is Arthurian legend specific.
I've always been interested in Arthurian stuff.
I've always, you know what got me into that is the irony of it all, because it's not a very good game. It's Sonic and the Black Knight.
Not in the wind. No, I played that a lot as a kid because my friend had it on his Wii.
I remember being like, I loved Sonic and the Black Knight as a kid. It was like, oh, this is so cool, and it got me into knight stuff and reading Arthurian legend and just being like, whoa, knights are cool.
Yeah.
That's the irony of it all. It's it's not a very good game. It's like a super waggle fest. Yeah, I have
For me. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
So, Sprited, with your story, are you taking it? Star in the chat asked, are you trying to take a more modern take with it, or what is your?
Oh yes, yes, Eddie. So, I don't know if this is like a spoiler or whatever, but it's very major to the plot, so I'm just gonna say it. So, about like a fourth into it, it's revealed that Merlin is not an actual wizard. He's from the future.
Okay.
And him and Morgan Le Fay were love interests from the far future. They invented time travel, and that's going to be a whole thing. And he takes in Alfie, the main character, under his wing, and accidentally changes history. He makes Alfie the king of England and not Arthur.
Okay. So it's the inverse of the Connecticut Yankee and King Arthur's Court by Twain, then.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
Are you familiar with the Connecticut Yankee and King Arthur's Court that Mark Twain wrote?
Oh no, I'm not. I'm not a very scholarly person.
I remember I hated that book when I was younger because I had the unabridged version. But
I'm not a big fan either, largely because it's an early case of it's a pro-American book that is it it's very propagandic to the American way of doing things. And while I disagree with some of the points in it, it also paints everybody in olden times as a simpleton. I don't think that's fair. As a simpleton or a charlatan, I don't think that's fair. But
Simpleton
also,
by our standards, but it was very different back then.
yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of it was if I remember right, Twain wrote that after he took a world tour, and that was at a time when America was very much disrespected by the European elite, and it was a young enough nation that it hadn't really proven itself in a lot of ways, and I think that was part of his portrayal of American ingenuity juxtaposed to the tradition and the old way of doing things. So.
Carl down in the chat saying a Connecticut Yankee was awesome, and he's gonna get a kick out of this because I told him so much about my project. But yeah, I hated that book in school. I remember reading it and not understanding a lot of it because it was like the original version. It wasn't abridged and like kind of broken into terms that a middle school kid would understand. So I was super lost almost the entire time. And it was actually my grandmother who was sitting up there reading it to us because it was okay. So I'm homeschooled. Or I was homeschooled. We had this co-op, and that was one of the books we were required to read. And two of my siblings were in the class with me. It was a class of like 20-something kids. We all had to read this book, and I remember my grandmother sitting there and like reading the page over and over again, trying to get what the guy was trying to say because it was the original version.
There's Twain wrote with lots of slang in his stuff.
I read the unabridged version as a high schooler. It was a lot of fun. Now I feel like Mr. Dumb. Except for
I have trouble retaining shit. I can't read stuff anymore. I just listen to audiobooks. No matter the comprehension.
American FBF. That's pretty cool. Let's see. Today, Carl, we're full and hungry. Here we have now actually been joined by a man named Matt with an afro that envelops the screen.
Hello.
I have a feeling, Matt, that is not in fact your hair. Am I correct in that?
Wait, what? Oh, this is a drawing of one of my characters. It's not me.
Well, it's like on my screen right now, what I'm seeing is it gave you like a brown colored background to go with your icon. And what that does, it makes it look like your character's afro like grows up around.
That's weird.
It's just consuming him.
Why does it do that? How strange. I don't know how you get that.
Color. Like I'm pretty sure for my background, it just turns everything beige. But like it's in these little squares at the bottom of the chat.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
People in the YouTube stream will see what I'm talking about. But yeah, you've got like this aura of hair.
Yeah, I don't know how I got that. That's kind of cool. It looks so intentional.
Either way, Connecticut Yankee and King Arthur's Court, in retrospect, like looking back at it and what I remember from the book, it was really clever. It was a fun little story. I don't know, my brother's just shouting in the other room. He's playing Xbox. He tends to get really loud on the microphone.
I never read it. I don't know if it was never assigned to me or I just found a way to skip it or something. or Cliff
Yeah,
Notes?
for me, it was, I was never assigned it in school, but it was one of those things that I'm a big fan of Arthurian legends, so I wanted to read it.
Mhm.
And about half the way through, I was so angry, I just couldn't finish.
Why you're just
Well, and it's like a lot of the themes and the criticisms that Twain had toward the British system are repeated in the what is it? The Prince and the Pauper, right? About the struggles of nobility and the nobility of the common man and all that kind of stuff. But in Prince and the Pauper, it's handled with a lot more grace because everybody's English in it. And so the good characters and the good traits are portrayed by people that were beholden to an old system, as well as the bad traits in the bad system. So it didn't come across as preachy to me when I was 17 and reading it, in the same way that it did with Connecticut Yankee. But anyway, Matt, did not come here to talk about Twain. This is the last week for your crowdfunding campaign, and I want to hear about this.
I'm just mad I didn't come in earlier. I missed lip anatomy and dental health. That's when I wanted to come in. But
Well, if you decide to stick around after the stream, I can rehash it, or you can catch it on the replay too.
yeah. Dang, I had to come in for early 20th century American lit.
There you go.
It's just my luck. Yeah, so it's last week of the campaign, and we're funded, thankfully. So that's good. And it's just a matter of trying to round out numbers with whether or not we can already afford to do the map, which was our first stretch goal, and now we're closing in on paying for the poster, where I'm hiring Elliot Fernandez Jerkmonger to do a movie poster of the characters. So that's exciting.
Man, that guy's got some chops. That'll be really cool.
Yeah. He's like my favorite Indiegogo artist right now. So hiring him is the big boost, I guess.
So what is your Kickstarter for? I'm out of the loop.
Oh yeah. So it's my comic is Kyrie. It's basically Indiana Jones and ancient Rome. So it's treasure, travel, heist kind of stuff, supernatural adventure, and a kind of like in a Wild West, North African sort of setting. So
sounds interesting.
Yeah. It's 120 pages. They're already done, and it's $20. So trying to make it a good deal on the market right now. A lot of people don't go that cheap for 120, but
a lot of people.
What's the actual date that you guys are ending on?
Wait, I'm sorry, what's that?
What's the date you guys are ending on?
It's the 18th. So Thursday, and I think it's Thursday at noon because I started. You know how those things like I think it like is literally counting the minutes 30 days after whenever I started it, which is around lunchtime. So yeah.
Right. Well,
Part of the reason I'm able to do it cheaper is it's just me. I'm just like a one-man show, so I'm not trying to pay for Eric Weathers to letter it or anything like that, or there's no colorist. It's just me, so I don't have to like bump up
that gives you full control, man.
Yeah, and I got a day job, so I don't have to. If I had to pay the bills with comics, man, there would be no bills paid. So, just trying to make a book. Y'all know how it is. Y'all know how to hustle.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. So, are you planning on? You've made your goal already, or are you planning on going in demand with it at all, or?
Yeah. I think we're gonna.
Yeah, I'm asking selfishly because I get paid that next Monday.
Oh yeah. I'll hook you up with something. There's gonna be we're gonna do in demand just for the duration of whatever it takes to get printed. I'm overprinting a bit, and I think I can sell the books that I'm overprinting over the next, through the summer into early fall when I'm going to be fulfilling orders, and I'll just fulfill at the same time with the regular in-demand stuff. But they'll just be regular books. I can't, I'm trying to like hook up people with the campaign with like sketch book plate kind of things and doodles on the front page and all that kind of stuff and bookmarks, postcards, the poster, that kind of stuff. But it'll just be a regular book for in demand, unless your name's Matt Reese. But
So many Matts today.
yeah,
That's actually how
That's fair. That's fair. I can't argue with that.
I'm the only one here that's not a Matt.
But yeah, it's that's actually how this whole thing started. Is it was on this other artist stream, Donald DeLay, and
yeah.
we were hanging out in the chat, and we were saying it's like there were like 3 or 4 people that jumped in named Matt that were in the comments talking to each other. Why are there so many of us?
Man, the Ed and Eddie reboot looking weird.
Things. It was just like, oh yeah, what was a common name? And it's just this is the Mattriarchy, the system where Mats rule. All rise up now. And then
I like that name.
yeah, so then the guy who was hosting the shoot time just looks at the chat. He's like, okay, fine, you guys can rise, just leave me out of it. Also make pineapple pizza illegal.
I like the way this guy thinks.
That's what my little brother was like when I first started making pineapple pizza jokes around him. He was just, what's wrong with pineapple pizza? And I was just thinking, oh, it's gonna be so hard to excommunicate him.
Yeah. I don't think there's a single thing wrong with pineapple pizza. I think people are far too adamant about
I kind of like. I just like the joke.
Absolutely agree. I said I absolutely agree.
See, I don't actually hate pineapple pizza that much. I mean, it's definitely like a more gross type of pizza, but I love the jokes about it. I love all the things based around how terrible it is.
I grew up in a Hawaiian pizza household.
You know, something else is like, you have no room for talk if you don't like pineapple pizza, but you like ketchup on mac and cheese. And I was like, no, that's beautiful.
Hell, I go to CC's, I get a mac and cheese pizza. I don't give a fuck.
Oh man, I would go to CC's near me. Like the nearest one is like so far. It's like several hours away.
Damn.
So Matt, we have Matt C. We have a question in the chat here.
Oh yeah.
One of our semi-regulars has asked, what's it like doing everything yourself?
Well, it takes a lot longer, but I can actually get it done. I feel like I can rely on myself. I don't feel like I'm steering a ship or having the ship be steered for me, which is...
You began Kiri as a webcomic, right?
Yeah, it was its earliest iteration was its earliest was there was a Kickstarter in 2014 to do the first 20 pages. And it was just like a digital release, but it was I was trying to raise money to quit this job I hated so I could just work on it full time for a couple weeks. And I managed to do that. And then I was like, you know what? I really like, and that's what became chapter 1 of this book. And people liked it, and I really liked it, so it kept me sane. After I quit my job and then I went back to school, I was working on that part time, and then I got out of school, and then I could work on it a lot more. And it's just nice. It's like when it's just you, it's just a way to decompress, and it feels more productive than. It keeps me off the video games, which my wife appreciates, and yeah, it just gives me something to do. You can throw up YouTube and listen to stuff at the same time, but it just becomes like a hobby that you can tinker away at, and you feel like there's less pressure to. You don't have to compromise. Like, you still got to find an audience, so there's compromise. But yeah, like I just went through. There was a couple years of just trying to. Ask, like, hey, can I draw your scripts? Can you draw mine? Like, just trying to collaborate with people and things, unless you find another person who's 100% in, which is really tough to do. And I don't know, I burnt through a lot of asking friends just because they were around and they were like not as motivated as I was. So I just figured the only one who's going to get this done is me for the time being until I meet people who are willing to collaborate. So I might as well just get it started. So
Get it started in time.
that's my tale. Yeah.
You're a lot more productive than I am. I've been sitting on Alfie since like 2015.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
I mean, I've been sitting on my idea since 2014, but like the thing is, I also
Is that
in that
Joseph
time, I
Dragblade?
Hmm?
Is that Joseph Dragblade?
yeah, that's the thing. The
I really like his design.
yeah, I love it too. It's I've always really liked those Jawa or Black Mage looking characters with like it's just the eyes showing. And
Oh,
the bread
yeah.
shoes. I really like his bread shoes.
Reminds me of
We
Shy Guy.
actually been doing the webcomic thing, and it's sort of, I know what you're talking about, trying to find the right kind of partners for your thing.
Yeah.
Where we're at with the Ideal Comics brand, I don't know if you've seen me share that stuff around at all, but
Yeah, totally.
we've been working with forces on and off again since 2006. Tomorrow, actually, a new server and doing our website a little bit.
Nice.
Tomorrow, forcesofgoodandevil.net is going to have our first storyline, the first 6-page storyline. It's going to be, and then every Friday, until we catch up to where we're at, we'll be releasing a storyline at a time. So
Nice.
so like,
That's how you
and
do
like
it.
the first storylines are pretty short. So we're going to have 6 pages this week, 5 pages next week, and then like 4 pages the week after that. And then it's a 20-page story that's going to drop. And so we're going to be re-releasing that so you guys can actually follow in somewhat as the story progresses. And we might be going back and doing some of those, trying to catch up some of the shorter stories with color before we launch. We'll see whether or not we get that done or not. Whether I get that done or not, because that's on me. But that's where we'll be at, until we catch up to where we were at in summer 2006, which is the time frame this is all happening in. So
That's wonderful.
So yeah, so that starts tomorrow. You guys get to watch Chris and I with our really awful artwork until we started having some people come alongside and it got better, and then a lot better. So, but yeah, so that's
that makes me. I got a question for you. Okay, so yeah, I was doing webcomics. I was doing Curia's webcomic since 2015 or so, and a lot of webcomics are kind of. I mean, they have been historically kind of islands unto themselves, and then the webtoons kind of thing came along, but I haven't seen a lot of success. Unless you're like Jason Brubaker or something, I haven't seen a lot of success with people being able to get people off those kind of aggregate sites onto, individually investing, buying books or really following those people and signing up for their mailing lists and all that kind of thing. But since the past couple of years, with how indie comics have kind of gotten a shot of adrenaline in their arms, I'm wondering, and there's a lot more of a visible, sustainable community now of people who are interested, creators, readers, fans. It's going to be really interesting to see you launch in that space now, that boosted space of extra interest, extra live communities where people are doing live streams like this all the time now. This wasn't a thing even in 2017, so
Yeah, there's
actually, that's
no
one
better
of the
time to
things
start than now.
that we're really interested to just kind of see how it plays out too, especially since we're ending up to relaunch our comedy webcomic while we're trying to also pitch a story that's not funny with Tales of Shadow Vox Populi. It's a very serious crime story with monsters, right? So it's a very different flavor, but it's all part of our same macro continuity too. So that's going to be something that if people are willing to buy into something like that, and part of our motivation when we first developed the concept of our universe, where we want to have action and horror and drama all folded into the same thing, was growing up reading DC comics.
Yeah.
Where you had, like, especially in the late 90s, I was already grown by then, but I had the money to spend on comics now that I was, had a job and didn't live at home, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Justice, which was as much comedy as it was action, and you had, then you had a comedy that worked its way into Mark Waid's Flash, and you had the serious, heavy drama in Starman and in Batman and all that kind of stuff. But it was all part of one big soup, and I just loved that so much. So when Chris and I decided to quit collecting rejection letters and try to make something ourselves, that's what the model we went for. And it's been, a roller coaster of stuff. I mean, for a long time. So we have not making a living at it, but we definitely have a lot of content. And one of the fun things about the website the way it is because we've decided to upload it in chunks, then it'll give people something to read episodically, rather than just a page or two a week. With our current art teams, we're looking at about a page a week is our production rate for each of the different stories.
Sure.
So because people have day jobs, or with our current forces team, our friend Ralph Gardeau, who's a good friend but is currently in the hospital, was doing layouts. Great. I'm going to try to get to see him tomorrow. But anyway, then my son Taliesin, who's 16 and in school, is doing finishes, and then I'm coming in with colors and lettering. So, I have a real job. Tali has a real job, and so because we keep him busy with school, we homeschool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's going to be, hopefully that'll be something that'll interest people a lot. Back to your project, because you didn't just come here to hear me ramble about me.
Yeah. I like rambling about you. This is fun. By the way, a star storyteller in the chat said that we gotta pray for your friend in the hospital. We'll be doing that for sure. I'll be doing that. So
thank you. Appreciate that.
But yeah, I'm just to wrap up what you were saying, I'm excited to see someone. I think y'all are the first group of people who are actually putting something out more than once a year or twice a year. You're putting something out every week. So that's pretty neat. I think you're like a forerunner in that space now. I mean, obviously web there's nothing new about web comics, but to do it in 2019, I feel like in the indie sphere with the sort of community you've already built, that's going to be pretty exciting. So
hopefully. So
yeah.
But one thing with all of that. Well, anyway, changing the subject again, though. With yours, what was the impetus for creating because your setting is so unique in comics? I mean, I can't think of another other than strictly church comics, right? That were a thing.
Strictly church comics.
I mean, you know what I'm talking about.
Like a print label. Strictly Church Comics presents.
I'm not sure. How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 33.
Okay. So this was actually a little bit before your time.
Yeah.
Back in the 80s, there were a number of companies, and especially I was a kid in Oklahoma, right? In the not the deep South, but the near South. Right?
Yeah.
And still in that Bible Belt, though.
Sure.
Number of companies that were marketing comics specifically to church kids, and they were not always great, but some of them were okay. But a lot of them were adaptations or very loose adaptations of Bible stories, right?
Yeah.
And that was like or things like The Robe, right, where it was like a super dumbed down version of The Robe or something like that.
Yeah.
And there have been several cycles of people that have gone through doing things like that, but there was a whole genre of small publishers that were appealing to that church crowd in the 80s.
Nice.
And when people found out I was mildly interested in Sunday funnies, they just handed me books and stacks of these things. Some of them were great, some of them were not. But your setting in traditional comics is not normal. That's what I was trying to get at here. It's not typical. So you're
Yeah. It's a little weird. Well, I kind of grew up. So I had, I don't know why. Like I guess I lived outside of the U.S. a couple times growing up, and I had some European friends when I was in the States. So they were all reading like Tintin and Asterix and stuff like that. I mean, I think they like issue those things with your birth certificate when you grow up in Europe. So that was my introduction to comics. And so, sitting in the playground and kids like talking about Spawn and stuff like this, I was like, okay, this looks cool, but you guys, like, you're missing out. Like, there's some high action adventure, laughter on every page coming out of Asterix, and you guys just want to talk about Spawn. Like, so it was different for me. Like, when it comes to comics, I guess, overseas, whether we're talking about Asian stuff or we're talking about European, even like Canadian, definitely like South American, there's like anywhere than America, there's no such thing as like a comic genre. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like comic storytelling is synonymous with superheroes. Like, there's a genre. Everything that could be a novel is also a comic. So they got like popular mystery adventure stuff, and they got sci-fi, and they got fantasy, and period drama, romance. Every genre is represented overseas, and we just do the big two here for the most part. It's getting less and less that, of course, but so that's my that's my bad justification for trying to make a European comic in the U.S., which I found out was
the ironic thing about that, right? The ironic thing about that is that, like, when you were coming up, that was certainly the case. And I got into comics. I didn't really get into like magazine style comics until I was 11, right? With first with Karl Marx's Uncle reprints, and then with Batman and Green Hornet and those guys, right?
nice.
And that was during the time when superheroes were suddenly ascendant because the Batman movie was such a phenomenal culture shifting thing.
Yeah.
Happening at nearly the same time was the development of Image and all. But just before that, right? Like, you even look at the big two, and you had the Savage Sword of Conan, you had Red Sonja,
Nice.
you had Arion, Lord of Atlantis. You had
Totally.
Mike Grell's come on, dude, gets Taurus, Warlord, right? And there was a whole bunch of cross genre stuff that was being done, or fantasy stuff, especially.
Yeah, and like heavy metal and all
Banner's
that.
Galaxy. There's a whole bunch of sci-fi stuff in the 80s. But
Yeah.
I think what happened, this is conjecture on my part, Batman was so huge, became such a phenomenon, and then with your Marvel high tier artists, Jim Lee and Silvestri and McFarlane, they started making so much money, and then started Image, and all of their stuff was superhero stuff, right? Even Spawn, which was fantasy, was still superhero stuff. And I think that's where the money was, and so that's what everybody paid attention to. And so you look at like James Robinson's Starman, which was not a typical American superhero story, although it was written with love for the American superhero story. It was very much a Scotsman's love letter to America, and but it still had that feel to it if somebody was to pay attention to it, that it wasn't your normal American thing. But I think that's one of those elements that kind of made that, especially for people of your age that are just that 10 years younger than me, then all there was superhero stuff, because that's what made the money in that time, you know. And I think that's just something that's interesting.
Yeah, I guess it can't be a coincidence with the blow up of comics in the 90s that every other genre was still present, is on the periphery, but was still there. Kind of took even more of a backseat and didn't really resurface until, as far as I'm concerned, until maybe some of these anthologies in the early 2000s and Kickstarter, that kind of thing. They kind of went.
And even when it did, in a lot of ways, it was still folded inside of something else.
Yeah.
Lots of the elements worked into Aquaman. Aquaman is still a superhero book. Lots of sci-fi elements were put into. There was some really good sci-fi that came out under the Superman title, but it's still a Superman title.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
It hid inside of this massive thing. So now to change the subject there a little bit, though, we'll redirect it a little bit. You have a lot of knowledge of history. That's very nice. How much of that works into your story?
Well, part of the game that I'm playing with Kyrie, and this is part of the reason why I think it probably has. Uh-oh. Is this better? I think I sat on my cord. Am I there?
I think so. I can hear you. Okay.
Okay, sorry. Part of the game that I'm playing with Kyrie, and this is part of the reason why I think it's better for everyone's sanity if it's just me making it, is that I'm trying to figure out how all of this could actually happen in the history that we do know of the period, 250 AD. If there was a secret death cult run by senators in Roman elites, and they were trying to reanimate the corpse of Alexander the Great, how would they go about doing that, knowing the history that we do know? And it's pretty fun because there's not a ton of literature from that period. I mean, there's enough to fill like a tiny bookshelf, and I've tried to fill it, but there's only so many. There's like half a dozen sources, so you can get your head around. It's not like trying to write something about the American Revolution or something. You can read a few books, and you have a basic lay of the land. So I feel like it's more manageable. And I mean, what else? I'm not great at anatomy, so I can cover everything in robes, which is convenient. So that's one reason I picked that time period. What else? I really like westerns, so I feel like North Africa, you can play it up as the western of the empire, and
that's actually really interesting. An interesting take too, especially when you think about that the Mediterranean stand-in for the West in a lot of the spaghetti western, those big ones, those films that were just there, made in Spain, made in Italy, because it looks kind of like California.
yeah, just flip it around. Yeah. So it's I'm trying to think. Like, I almost went back to school for history, and that's how obsessed I am with history. Is that somehow I thought so? I have an undergrad degree in illustration, and I got burnt out on that as a day job. But I still loved illustration, but I was tired of trying to chase, market trends perpetually with that.
Right.
So I still had stories that I thought people would want to hear. I still wanted to draw, but I wanted that to be something that I could work on in my free time. And I was also obsessed with, reading history. So thankfully, my wife convinced me to not go back to school for history. But in order to satisfy that, to scratch that itch, I decided to write, how to tell a visual story in a historical setting for an all ages kind of demographic. So that's
Now,
rambling.
that's actually a really interesting thing, because the all ages thing is a thing that, on one hand, like, not enough people are really going for the all ages market. I think it's an important one. The
Yeah.
other side of it too is that you're obviously dealing with some fairly mature themes, resurrection and the savagery of the times and the whole thing. Do you find either of those things challenging to do as in an all ages category?
That is a great question. I think I've seen it demonstrated well in other stories. I mean, like we all grew up on Indiana Jones, and we were watching that, constantly when we were 7, and maybe we didn't understand it all, but I think it resonated enough where we were like, like, not all of this we get, but we're gonna get when we're older, and we're getting enough right now where we really feel like, we're getting our money's worth, I guess, even as kids. And same with Star Wars, that's a great question. So it's called Kyrie, right? And Kyrie means it's from Kyrie a liaison. I can't speak Greek.
Kyrie eleison.
There you go. Someone knows what he's doing.
Catholicism.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I'm pantomiming it with my story, but so it's about lords. It's Lord have mercy. So I took the Lord, and so it's like, who's your master? And all the characters are struggling with different definitions of what power should look like politically, personally, family relationships. There is death. A central theme is death and loss in family, and how do you get over that? How do you deal with that? They've all got different wounds with that, and I guess part of that's like personal life stuff. I lost my mother a few years ago, so I'm probably channeling some of that through that. But I don't know, like, some of the most powerful stories I've read or played through in games or watched on screen have been stuff that's been for a younger audience. For some reason, I think we permit ourselves to tell a moral story more. In the like, this isn't like a moral story in like a church only tales or whatever. Like, it's like, but for some reason, like, you watch like Enter the Spider-Verse or something, and it's like, oh, that's for kids because it's animated, it's a little cartoony. I feel like it has more of a message than half the even the good MCU films. Like, and I think it's just a matter of perspective, like how intentional do you want things to get with the sort of the dialogues you want to have on difficult, but you want to do it in an accessible way. Maybe my style's kind of, I mean, it is cartoony, so it's more accessible for kids that way, and I don't have a ton of gore or anything like that. But I don't know. I feel like everything you ask is really great and concise, and then all my answers are not answers at all. I'm just kind of spitting up thoughts for 2 minutes until I get tired of hearing myself. So I hope.
No, I
don't mind the ramble.
I think you've actually hit the nail on the head a lot of ways. I think one of the things we forget about in living in our postmodern world, right, is that every story is a moral story, right? Every tale, because all stories are a metaphor, they're always talking about something else, right? Even if I'm sitting here and I tell you a story about something that my kid did, right? It's not just about this thing my kid did. I'm trying to amuse you. I'm trying to inform you. I'm trying to share my life experience with you, and that becomes, that's a purpose behind the story. And every story is a moral story, but we don't allow ourselves, I think, sometimes to acknowledge or understand or live in that truth because we get hung up on whatever else, right? One of the things that like drove me most crazy about Civil War, the Captain America Civil War movie, is that there was very clear one moral message in the movie that was left unspoken, and it drove me nuts. And that message is that everything is Tony Stark's fault.
Yeah.
He's actually the villain, and the fact that it's understandable from the script, but the fact that nobody ever tells him that just drove me crazy. It's like, man, this guy needs a talking to, and there's so much talking, and nobody comes out and says, this is you. This one's on you.
Yeah, that's something the comic version did a lot better, is that it made both sides really, you can understand both sides, whereas in the movie it's very Cap oriented.
He did not like the comic version of Civil War. I still did.
I did not. But we actually had about a month ago, we had a No More Martin fan on as a guest, and we talked at length about why I hate the comic. Well,
he did bring up points about that I do think are valid. I think personally my biggest hitch with this story is just I think it could have been told better, and I think the Marvel comic universe would have been better if it was like an side, or it was an Elseworld story, like it was told
right
in canon form. Just I think that would have, but I still think there's a lot of good themes about liberty and government overreach and stuff like that, and you can also kind of understand it in a way. You're like, oh, okay, so these people, you can kind of see why they're thinking this, even though I think the biggest problem that it has, and I think the biggest problem that Reese has with it here, is that it's part of the Marvel universe. It's using established versions of it, or these versions of established characters. There are character breaks, even if I think that the story has a lot of good going for it. But it is kind of when you've been when you've been in the game as long as Reese has, and you've known these characters for decades, and you see them acting a little acting kind of out of character,
right.
kind of sudden, especially the young warriors.
Yeah.
That's the big problem with all these interconnected universe with all these different writers, is that one set of writer has to handle all these characters that were crafted by hundreds of different people. It's really hard to get them into character.
That's one of my biggest issues with modern comics. Is I don't have this problem with DC as much, because at least with DC they reboot every 20 years. And keep they'll keep some stuff the same. There's some rules that have to be followed for the most part. Some characters didn't get treated as kindly as others, but Green Lantern, same character that he pretty much was in the New 52, just with a little bit more flexibility in his timeline. In fact, I think he might be one of the most unchanged characters. But when you compare it to someone like Lobo, who basically had a reboot that was so bad they retconned him back in to be the old one. Yeah, Twilight Lobo was a mistake.
But anyway, enough about that, because my goodness sakes. I will. But one last thing on Civil War. Civil War was the very moment Marvel stopped caring about Captain America. He has not been a character since that story. So, and that's 2006. Captain America died. Anyway.
Yeah.
Well, that's all. I actually really enjoyed the Captain America stuff, in the themes of liberty and stuff. But that's a story for another time.
Yeah, that's
No, I don't think I will.
Back to Kyrie. With it, do you have a cast of characters that we follow through the thing, or how does that work out?
Yeah, we have 4 main protagonists. Well, we've got 2 main ones, Myra and Marcus. I've kind of built them to be opposites in a lot of ways. Myra is that she's the female protagonist. She's basically leadership without strength is kind of how I thought of it. So in order to get what she wants, and she's usually the one who's making the decisions, she has to use subterfuge, I guess. She's a manipulator, she's a liar, she's a thief, and a treasure hunter. And as a I guess a woman in the 3rd century, it's kind of me, obviously, as an all ages sort of story. At some point you have to project, you got to understand you're actually writing this for a 21st century audience. So she's probably the most she's probably the least realistic, but that helps her to be the most accessible, I guess, character of the main lineup. So yeah, I mean, she's kind of she's a broken woman, but in order to fix the problems that she had, in order to like cover up the wounds, she's kind of doing something of a empowered female sort of thing 1700 years ago. And a lot of the ways she does that is through lying, through cheating, through using sexuality to get what she needs, in a kid-friendly way, but just manipulating things to her advantage, I guess. And then Marcus he's strength without leadership. So he's basically like the Incredible Hulk, with like Bruce's actual personality, I guess. He's constantly trying to tone down his supernatural strength, which has a backstory that we get into, but he's constantly worried about and his own past, and that means that he has to he's trying to make sure that no one ever gets hurt, and in order for no one to ever get hurt ever, he has to keep hurting people to stop people from getting hurt, if that makes sense. So he's caught in like a vortex that he can't get himself out of, which Myra uses to her advantage to get him as kind of a key part in her greater strategy to help track down this kind of death cult, Alexander the Great thing. She takes advantage of a guy who has a lot of potential but has no leadership ability and can't keep his head on straight, as an asset in her team, I guess, if that makes sense. So those are the two main characters, and they're polar opposites in a lot of ways. And of course, a lot of the best stories mean that they don't get along, and then they learn, the more they learn about each other, the more they realize that, maybe they have some strengths that each other kind of need, and they can kind of become friends, that sort of thing. And then there's a lot more spoilerific stuff that happens in the next book. But right now we're laying the groundwork. So
how long do you expect Kyrie to run?
It's looking like, so it's 4 books, and they're probably each going to be 120 pages.
Okay.
And I have the first 2 are done. So we're finishing this campaign now. In 6 months, I should be wrapping up book 3, and I'll campaign book 2, and then again, then I'll campaign book 3 6 months after that, with wrapping up book 4, and then I'll campaign book 4. So every 6 months I should do a campaign. That's the plan, at least. Now that I'm halfway through it already, so I think I can maintain that pace. And it'll just be a 4-book series, about 500 pages. It's a big, sword and sandal epic, Romance of the Sands adventure. So I got to go big or go home. I'm not trying to make a career out of this. So, yep.
Yeah. So we actually, in the chat, we have a couple questions, and I haven't read all of the comments, so I'm sorry to start. But one of the things she asks is Marcus a demigod?
He's, without
Or is that a
spoiling,
spoiler?
you could kind of say that he's the product of unfortunate circumstances that give him that give him a supernatural power. Yeah. So if you think of him as a demigod, I think that's okay. Yes, and Myra does shrewdly pick her men. You're right.
Yeah.
Now I wanted to ask you, has anyone made the Mr. joke, like just
Yeah, which is funny, because I thought everyone was gonna I named this, and then like 6 months later, the Kyrie Irving really hit the scene. Everyone who plays and likes basketball was talking about him, and I was like, oh no, I'm never going to hear the end of Kyrie or the Celtics point guard. And then I started really investing in the online comics community, and people only reference the Mr. Classic. I don't think anyone's heard of this basketball legend named Kyrie Irving. So I think it's kind of funny because I'm used to just hearing basketball jokes, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, 80s, like I'm like a 20-year-old boomer, so to speak. Like,
No,
that's me. I actually sent a picture of him one day. He's like, "How you doing?" And I sent him a picture of me like wearing a Hawaiian shirt, drinking tea from a nice glass of ice. And it was just like boomer I've ever seen.
it's beautiful.
Yeah, that was a great conversation. Now, the other thing is about this, and maybe Sprited might get this. I almost said Spirited, but I corrected it.
Falling back into the trap.
Is that Kyrie? The word Kyrie was always hard for me to read because I think of Kyrie from Kingdom Hearts.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, sure.
So I'd be like, oh yeah, it's Kyrie. And
Yeah.
it's Kyrie, and I was like, what? How do you get that from that?
You see, that whenever I hear Kyrie Irving, so to bring it back full circle, I always think of Kyrie.
Yeah, yeah. So you're thinking basketball, yeah.
Oh man, Sprited, have you ever seen the? Oh my gosh, it's Kingdom Hearts, but with Fat Albert.
No.
It's like
I mean, I feel like that's just Oni plays Let's Play of it.
that's somebody animated that, where it's just like you've let the darkness into your heart. Oh yeah.
Dude, can Donald Duck be Dumb Donald? And be like, I don't know.
Yeah, man. No,
I'm gonna use Thundersaur.
I have to be completely honest that I was unaware that people under the age of 34 were aware of Fat Albert.
No, I grew up with Fat Albert. I used to watch it all the time as a kid.
It was old when I was a child.
Right. That was 1975 to like the early 80s, I believe.
Yeah, like 81, right? Yeah, it was reruns when I was watching it.
Yeah.
I guess it became a bit of a meme. People will share like the clips from Fat Albert and stuff like that. Where it's like the one time his teacher referred to a child as retarded, and it was,
He's retarded.
yeah, it's like,
I love that episode. It's called The Mainstream.
it was just like, yeah, his teacher's just like, Dennis is retarded, and then like, oh, what's his
It cuts to him and he's like, oh.
yeah, he looks at the idea of a disabled person being in the vicinity with him. Looks this. Oh, all the other shots of Albert in that episode, he looked high as fuck. Like he was.
Dude, that was a horrible time for animation, man, because it's like, everything was like, as much as I love and I grew up with Hanna-Barbera, I feel like they just ruined TV animation to be like Fat Albert for like 20 years. Because everything was so stiff. It was so strict to the model, but the sizing was weird. It was.
Yeah, the 70s and the mid 60s, or really the 60s had some of these same problems too.
Yeah, it was late 60s to like, like, I'd even argue late 80s. Because like He-Man was like what, 87?
It did take.
No, that was 85.
It did take off things like because Ninja Turtles still actually looks pretty good for what it is.
Ninja Turtles, like, it has a lot of animation errors, but yeah, for the time,
it's how many
crazy good
they had in that show, especially like characters characters lapping over each other. There was actually a clip the other day from like a messed up version of Transformers I saw where like all of the background, like someone layered something horribly, and for one shot, like
the cat or whatever.
Yeah, and apparently that was actually how it was put onto air, and then later in like a remastered version, they actually went back and fixed it. So like when there's the subsequent releases of the Transformers TV series, they actually have the original version which has the cat over top of everything, and then there's the other version which is not the cat.
Sprite, it just vanished.
He probably disconnected. He did say his internet was acting funny because we were having a good lively chat about animation.
Yeah, there it is.
Let's see. Danielle saying I know the impressions, but I've never watched it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have heard of it. She has heard of Fat Albert. Wait, there was a cat. Yeah. Oh yeah, Danielle. It was in the original Transformers series. It was like for one shot. It was there, and all the characters were like layered on top of it. It looked really funny, and then the next shot, it's gone. It was like really weird. It was a cat or something. It was some alien creature. It was a little yucky. Let's see. Sometimes I see.
So before we go, actually, I'm going to go over and look up the campaign, and then we'll go ahead and talk about that a little before we call it a day. This sounds like a thing to do that I should have already had prepped, but I don't. That's how together I am.
All right, sorry, I cut out again. My phone is just shitting the bed today. I don't get it.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, I don't really think
Don't
anything.
eat so much liquor.
What's that?
I said, don't give it so much liquor.
Don't give it so much liquor. Oh yeah, poor thing. I actually had a couple trips to Taco Bell. I saw him. He's eating his diet. If you warned Sprites, this says more about his phone than anything. It eats at Taco Bell.
Hey,
no.
I wanted to ask you, Matt Rees.
Yes.
I was hoping for a moment to circle back to your son's name. The only Taliesin, I'm assuming, like, obviously, you were talking about your love for Arthurian stories. The only Taliesin I know of comes from Charles Williams, who was an obsessed 20th century. He was an Inkling and a Arthurian dude. Are you a fan of Williams? Or
I am not familiar with him, actually.
Oh, man.
We became aware of the name through Stephen Lawhead's book, which is the first of his Pendragon cycle.
Okay, the Pendragon, yeah.
And I don't know if you've read those or not, but they're ridiculously good. They're phenomenal.
I've read about them.
Yeah,
I've read his other stuff, like The Place of the Lion and a couple other of his novels. His stuff is a trip.
It's good. I love it. But in his Arthurian cycle, he placed Taliesin as the father of Merlin. Okay? Taliesin was a semi-mythical 5th century Welsh poet. And a couple of his works have survived, as well as 900. That is a meeting between Merlin Wilt, one of the Merlin characters that Merlin stories are based upon, who was a wild man of the forest.
Oh, neat.
And the poet Taliesin, and there is a poetic meeting that was written after either of them would have lived. But Taliesin himself at least was alive and is attested in some of the histories at least once, and was and seems to have written himself into mythology. So,
awesome.
Which,
that's another story. I want to hear about that. That's really cool.
Yeah, and he's but my wife was reading through the books and just loved the name. And my family, I'm the 3rd generation American. My grandfather's father came over from Wales in 1872.
Oh, neat.
Oh, you got the Arthur blood in you?
Yeah, possibly if
if he's real, that's really debatable.
Yeah. So there's a whole thing with that, but there's some probably spurious family tree records that would actually indicate that. So
that'd be awesome, man.
So with that, my wife thought the name Taliesin was cool, and I thought it was cool. So that's that. We have Yeah, our sons are Donovan, is my eldest, and Taliesin is the younger. So.
Oh man, and he goes by Tully.
Yeah, Tolly or Tall. Yep.
That's cool.
Yeah, we joke around for years that we call him Tall for short.
Yeah, that's good. That's
I
really
love dad jokes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's that.
Necessary.
But before we go, let's take a look at the campaign. I set the screen share on, but I don't think I did. Hang on. Application window. Boom. Share. I hit cancel instead. Okay. So here we are. On the screen share, and of course we've got that you have topped your goal. So hurrah on that.
Yeah.
You tip for $1. You get anything for $1 other than a thank you?
A really big thank you. I don't know. I thought someone would want to do that, but no one's done it, which is fine because they're doing it for the books instead.
So for $10, you get the digital PDF of the thing, which at 100 is 120 pages, right? That's not much to sneeze at for $10 for a digital. That's quite a bit of pages. I mean, at that price, because I know a lot of people sell, regular sized or just double sized books for $4 or $6 digital. So that's a pretty good bargain if that's how you read it. So signed book for 20, which that's a heck of a thing. And it looks like this is the book plate we're talking about too.
Yeah. Originally I was when I had when my eyes were bigger than my stomach, I was thinking I was going to have a fulfillment service do this. So I was like, I'll just sign a bunch of book plates and then give it to them. But I'll be fulfilling it myself. So the book plate is redundant, but I'm still going to do it. Yeah.
Fair enough. For 25, and what are you asking for shipping for these things? That's the question I always have.
Oh, it's $8 domestic for US, and as y'all probably know, it goes up.
Yes.
A lot. But I got it down to within the dollar. In some cases I'm losing $1 on I kind of went through the US Postal Service kind of standard flat rate envelope kind of mailing estimates for what they were telling me, and everything's kind of stuck out. It's exactly what they're charging me, so it's kind of forgetting what the but it's only $8 domestic. So
Cool. So signed book and a drawing. And how big is the drawing here?
Okay, signed book plus drawing. That drawing is me drawing on the front page, which is blank.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So it's the size of the book.
Yep.
Love the color work on this page.
Whoa, that's impressive, man.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, thanks.
Oh yeah, that's real.
Now these are digital colors, I'm assuming, right? You use
Yeah, and unfortunately, which is why it allowed me to work on this for 5 years and not have to lung around a bunch of pages. But I don't have a perk where I can sell original art because it's inked, it's colored, and everything start to finish digitally. So
very cool. 3 books for 45. If you happen to have a little shop, or hey, here's 5 for 65, which that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
This rain effect, I tell you, man, that is the hardest thing that I've had trouble with trying to get to work right, and that just looks really good.
Thanks. I like that kind of it's stinging kind of rain where like you're on a boat. Whenever you're on a boat and it's raining, it just really sucks. So trying to make it hurt, It's not a drizzle.
So the signed book and original art, well, of course, this is not art from the book because you said you don't have any. So what are we looking at here?
Yeah, I'm gonna draw you like a 3-color kind of ancient Roman themed. It'd probably be one character and then one just like something really cool, like that cavalry helmet and the Sasanian sword and shield. And that's 5x7 on archival paper. So it's inked like with color inks and black and white. So yeah, and it's on like a toned paper, so the white really pops out. I've had a lot of success with it. I've done it in the past, and people really like it. So cool. That's going to be nice. And all that fits again. That's smaller than the book too, so everything can ship with the book itself, which is good. So. Yeah, and that's it. And
those are the perks. But like, just guys, those of you guys who are watching, just eyeball the color work on these. This is
that is some talent, man. I'm genuinely impressed.
No, thanks.
I love your palette. It's just great.
Yeah, I had a painting teacher ask me if I was colorblind in college. And I got so self-conscious that I made it like a real, and I did have a color problem back then. I made it like a serious effort for a number of years to really make that a strength, I guess. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, I don't know a ton about color theory. I just know what I like when I see it. But there's it's just, I guess part of the thing is that it's the level of the way you go from complement to contrast in a way that isn't jarring, and brings it out as like these colors that don't look quite like they belong, but they fit still. That's good stuff, man.
Thank you. Thanks. A lot of that's me watching Steven Universe on silent and capping. So.
Well, is that the only way to watch Steven Universe? I've never actually tried. So.
Yeah, I suggest watching it on silent. I don't think people watch it for I don't know. It's gorgeous art.
All right.
It's very creative. It's taking the whole that aesthetic to a whole new level, but it's
got pretty music.
Yeah, that's true.
The background artwork looks a lot better than the characters themselves do, and I think it's kind of weird.
A little jarring.
Yeah, I'm all about that background artwork. I could stare at that for days. They got top-tier talent for that.
Reminds me of cell animation, where like if the main character doesn't interact with is on screen, it's painted.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally get that.
Definitely going for that. Yeah.
The star says, "Of course, it would be an a-hole teacher." Talking about from the color conversation earlier.
Oh, Star Story. It's not Greek fire, but it's something closer to that demigod thing you were thinking of. Something supernatural happens. That's one of the things. Something happened to a wonder of the ancient world in the 3rd century, and there's debates about why that thing happened. And my story tells you why. Tells you what happens. Supernatural inferno. So you'll have to find out.
Man, I'm so excited for this. But as I mentioned, I don't get paid till the weekend after this thing ends. So.
Oh yeah.
We'll have to work something out otherwise than that. So.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, it is 9:00. Danielle has left us because she's a lightweight, but time for us to wrap up anyway. Oh man, I'm still sharing.
Speaking of sharing, thank you guys so much for your time, because it was really great to have you on. Spirited, Cranberry. It was great talking to you.
Oh God, thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You guys are all pretty cool. Yeah.
And on here we all hang out on there. So if you want me to give the link to you, I'd be happy to give it to you.
Wait, hang out on where?
Discord.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'll hand that over to you. We have like a little community we're growing.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah. I'll join. I love Discord.
All right, yeah.
I just joined last week.
I like only really used my own Discord, but I feel like I'll be active here because I actually have talked to you guys. I don't like YouTube communities, you know, where it's like a huge thing.
For the,
It's
yeah,
like-
it's
I'm not
it's
a
on
fan
here.
of that.
Here, we are gonna try to keep it like kind of small. So we have like tabs, we have like general, we have like memes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly like mine. So I feel it. I'll definitely be there.
Just grab a link here.
So before we finally wrap up, my last plug, and I am going to go ahead and put this in the chat. Actually, I'm going to put 2 links in the chat. One is everybody who's there should go check out for themselves crowdfunding. Throw some money at this guy.
He deserves it. He works hard.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great. It has my full endorsement, whatever that's worth. And yeah. I'm just some jackass sitting in a chair in Nebraska, but this book looks really good.
I really appreciate it. You're gonna like it. You're all gonna love it. It's a fun tale. Well told tale. Church only tale.
That's hilarious. And then when you get done with that, you know, or when if you guys can buy this paycheck, the next paycheck, you know, throw a little here at the IC crew. We'll have our Indiegogo there in the link too.
Yeah.
We're because I'm all about shameless promotion. So
There we go. Yes. I back this. I forget at what tier.
yes, I think I owe you a postcard if we get to 500.
Oh, good. Yeah. You're only 500?
So 2,000 is our stated goal.
Yeah.
The way Indiegogo is, if you make it to 500, if you have flexible funding, you get to keep it. So our commitment is if we make it to 500, we're going to ship books.
Oh,
If
wow.
500, then it all goes away. And that's pretty much how that works out. But we're going to start looking at stretch goals at 2,000. Actually, probably at 2,500. But and we're at 23% right now. But we're more than half of the way to that 500 mark. So if we do get to 500, everybody who's supported gets books.
Oh, wow.
And that's our commitment on there. So we're not keeping money without giving something out to the people that have been willing to support us. So
That's great.
So
That's upping my backing right now.
This Saturday, #1 Marmaduke fan is inviting us over to his channel for a drawing stream, and
Nice.
have some artists come on and draw X, the Expositioner, and so some other stuff too. So be sure to, if you're not already subbed to #1 Marmaduke fan, do that. We'll also be sharing links out on Twitter and stuff too. So if you follow us, either me at MD Reese or at ideal_comics, we'll have stuff on there too. So Carl has already committed to show up and draw with us. So and Barry's going to be a little late because I'm actually tabling at a mini con in Torrington, Wyoming, which is about 35 minutes from my home. So
see, I would love to attend it, but I have a 9-hour shift on Saturday.
Ooh, that's rough.
Yeah. Well, it's good for the money. I definitely need the money. And on the bright side, it's not the job is actually really cool because during the earlier hours of the day when nothing's going on, they just need me to be there and on standby. It's food delivery, and they said I can just bring my Switch and play while we're waiting for things.
Nice shit. Where do you work?
I'm not gonna give away that specific information.
Right. I mean, what do you do? I mean,
basically, pizza guys.
Yes.
It's basically a pizza guy job.
Oh, okay.
With different food.
Nice.
But yeah, like they legit will let me sit there in my car and play Crash Bandicoot until somebody comes up and says, "Hey, I want food."
That's pretty good.
Hey, that's pretty good.
Worst
The hours have been kind of minimal lately, which is not why I'm trying to pick up this extra shift.
I'm a fucking cashier and I hate it.
I've heard being a cashier is rough.
It is. It's a grocery store too, so I deal with a lot of really mean old people.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez, it's that and the moms. Like the moms are the worst. Is what I've heard. That's what my friend told me.
So, hey guys, we're going to go ahead and sign it off here. Thanks for tuning in. Those of you who did, those of you who stuck around, tell your friends how much fun it is to listen to me yammer.
Hey, I'm looking for a new podcast, so consider me a new listener.
Cool. Excellent. We will be back next week. We are figuring out the guests for sure, and go from there. I think we might be actually talking to the guys from Undead Row, but we have to pre-tape them.
Nice.
Their time zone and our time zone doesn't work, or they can't stay up too late or something. But
You know what? I definitely want to do more community Smash Brothers nights.
Oh yeah, I'm all for that.
Yeah, well, that's what we've done it. I think once or twice before. We've had it so like one night I want to do it just so it's one night of the week, in like aside from the streaming night. And we just like because one night Reese had to cancel, so I was like, okay, well, I've been wanting to play Smash with everybody, so we got everybody in a Discord call, and we had like 4 people playing Smash at one point, and then I'm fine with as many people that want to join as possible, maybe even run 2 separate arenas. And I think it'd be great to just play Smash Brothers for like the 2-hour time slot. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
But I will not talk and interview people over the top of you punching someone in the face. Not happening.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it should be time.
So, okay, I really am going to hit the stop broadcast button. See you guys next week.
All right, goodbye, everybody.
All right. See ya.
All right.